I stopped asking the question, how long will it take? And I started asking the question, how far can I go? And everything changed that day. I realized that you can set goals and have 5-year goals, whatever, but I changed from a goal mindset to a growth mindset. And the fact that if I would be intentional in the areas of growth that would have the return and would fit who I was, that I could really be successful and help a lot of people.
It's okay to be inexperienced as a leader. You can get through that. As long as you're humble and you listen and you take advice from other people, you should be able to do fine. No one expects you to know everything as a leader.
In the beginning, I couldn't find anybody to mentor me in leadership. I mean, they didn't know who I was. And so books became my mentors. And then I did something that I just had questions. And I would ask you leadership questions. Well, the first question is, I always look at somebody and I ask them, tell me about your greatest failure. And the reason I ask that is because I think that the character of a person comes out of their failures, not out of their success. And I think that the bedrock part of the foundation of leadership is character. And you build on it. And so I want to know about, tell me about a mess up in your life. And I've had so many. I mean, when people ask me that question, it's kind of like, which one do I pull out? But I really like to talk to people about their losses because it just really tells me a lot about who the person really is.
If I'm manipulating you, I'm trying to get you to do something that's going to benefit me. If I'm leading, I'm trying to get you to do something that's going to benefit you, it's going to benefit the team, and it's going to benefit the mission.
I always ask people the same thing, which is be the leader you wish you had. Become a student of leadership. Study it, read about it, watch things about it, practice it every day. Be a parent, join the movement. It means I'm going to take care of my team. Sometimes I'm in a leadership position and sometimes I'm not, and it doesn't matter. I'm going to practice leadership. If I'm a salesperson, if I work at the check-in counter of an airline, I'm going to take care of the people I work with. I'm going to take care of the customers as if they're my family. Practice leadership, learn about it, study it. Because I do these things because I recognize I'm just a piece of a jigsaw puzzle. It's one of the reasons I wanted to come talk to you on camera. It's because when we do a jigsaw puzzle, the first thing you do is lean the picture, the box against the wall, and then you start putting the pieces together to build that picture. My job in this movement, I'm the guy who points at the box. But I'm the one who's pointing at the picture, maybe pointing out a couple of the pieces and where they go, but I need lots of people to join me. We need lots of people to join us who say, I have a piece of the puzzle. I'm willing to lead this way. I'm willing to abandon Milton Friedman ideals and do something bigger, something more. Live with an infinite mindset, lead with an infinite mindset, and put their piece down and say, how can I help build that vision? We need the army. And so how people can engage in the movement is actually practicing all this stuff. More than anything else, that's what we need.
Well, if you want to be a good leader, you have to understand human nature. And the places where human nature reveals itself most clearly are times of extreme sorrow, pain, suffering, and inhumanity. So if you want to see what happens to human beings, how they behave, see what they do in a concentration camp. If you want to understand humans better, understand what they do in the genocide in Rwanda, when 800,000 people were killed in 100 days, mostly with machetes. There's something going on there that we need to understand. If you want to understand leadership, you want to understand human nature, you need to look at the My Lai massacre, which happened in Vietnam, which was perpetrated by American soldiers, normal American soldiers. Normal American soldiers, you see the typical war movie, they got the typical Americans, they got the kid from the city, they got the kid from the country, they got the jock, they got the rock, that's what this was. That's what that company of soldiers was. And they went in there and committed heinous atrocities. And if we don't recognize what causes that, where that comes from, and that it's actually possible, then it's bound to happen again.
I believe that leadership is really a skill of influence. It is the most important skill that any human being can master. And I don't think of leadership as a position. I see it as a skill, a tool that all of us have to have. In other words, the quality of your life, I really believe, comes down to your level of leadership. Other people don't have to follow you to be a leader, but you have to live life on your terms. And the first person you have to influence is yourself. Whether you're fit or fat, whether your kids are on drugs or not, it's who has more influence, the guy on the street corner or you. Whether you're fit or fat is, can you influence your own hands, your own body, your own mind to do what's necessary? So I think to be able to influence the thoughts, the feelings, the emotions, and the actions of another human being, that's what leadership is. I really believe in order to influence people, you got to know what already influences them. Mm-hmm. The mistake that we make is we don't connect enough to figure out who this person is, and what most of us do is try to lead other people by influencing them the way we'd be influenced. Mm-hmm. They try to influence their kid to clean the room the way that would make you do it. But even though they're your kid, they're different than you. And so they're going to do it for a different set of reasons than what you would do it for. You might have done it because someone told you to, but your kid's going to tell them all day long, that's not it. There has to be something else. It's a sense of freedom they get from it, or a sense of mastery, something that's going to move them. So I always say there are two things that influence everyone. If you want to be a leader, you have to know how to change other people's states. A person is in a no state, a person's in an angry state, a person's in a frustrated state. You have to be able to influence their state, because if you change their state, you're going to change the result they get. But the second thing you have to understand is, what are people's blueprints? Blueprints my shorthand for what are their values? What do they believe? What do they fear? I always say to people that life is found in the dance between what you desire most and what you fear most. If I want to lead you and support you, I got to know your goals, your desires. I got to know what you're scared about, what you're fearful about, what stresses you out. And if I understand that, I can communicate in a way that'll inspire you to maximize, not only when I'm here, that's management. Leadership is I'm gone, and you've raised your own standard, and you're going to continue to perform at a higher level.
I've spent so much of the past 20 years of my life evangelizing a message that leadership is not about a title, leadership is not about the size of your office, leadership is not about having formal authority, leadership is a mindset. Leadership is a way of operating through your days. Leadership is a heart set. Leadership is a way of being. And I think, we're now in Leadership 2.0. The old model of leadership said you need to have a lot of money, or you need to be a prime minister or a president. You need to be a CEO or a managing director in order to be a leader. Leadership 2.0 is fundamentally different. Leadership 2.0 simply says, if you can breathe, if you are alive, you not only have the opportunity, you have the responsibility to show leadership, not only in your work, not only in your creativity, not only in your impact, not only in your influence, but even in your personal life. So let's get right to the first tactic for you to be an even better leader. Install the lead without a title mindset. And again, that's just a way of thinking. It's an approach. So what I'm really suggesting is, no matter what you do, no matter what your station in life is, start thinking like a leader, because you really have a choice when you go out in the world every day. You can be a victim or you can be a leader, but you can't do both. And so the more you practice showing leadership in your work, showing leadership with your family, showing leadership in your community, showing leadership in your private self, practice drives performance. And the more you practice it, the more you start to step into the mindset of a leader without a title.